another rumor that was absolutely wild from Jon Heyman, the Reds' dark horse candidate to sign Pete Alonso.
The polar bear, brother.
Dude, he'd be plunging out in that river.
Oh, he'd be dunking them out there, just shooting them out and fucking over in GABP. I'd love to see him punching homers out. But talking about Luis being not available, and you're going over to a guy like Pete Alonso, who played all of 162 last year, and has done that, or at least 161. He plays about the entirety of the season.
Yeah.
And so that is like such a big difference between the other, Luis Roberts we're talking about.
Yeah.
Agreed. I just, the moonshots he could hit, Great American, is something, is tantalizing, but what would it take to bring him in?
3 years, 95 each year has an opt-out.
Yeah.
Basically, this is a 1-year pillow deal where he hits 90 home runs.
His high water mark was what? The rookie season, he had like 53.
Yeah.
And
2019.
He could clear that before, like, by August. It would be fun to watch. It would be the perfect addition to slot into our lineup. That's what we're missing, is a true masher. Mm-hmm. And I agree with the fit, and I just don't agree that this front office would be comfortable with that type of deal.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, even with opt-outs after every year. I mean, it would almost certainly turn out that he would come here for a season, hit 1 million homers, and then opt out. And if that were closer to a guarantee, I think they pull the trigger, but anything can happen, and he's been healthy up to this point, but you never know.
Yeah.
It's professional sports. You're going to get injured, and then if they're on the hook, divvying out $35 million for a completely lost season, that would be crippling to how they run our overall budget.
Correct. Because they run it as a break even.
Yeah.
Which is how, it's hilarious watching the Hoyer and Ricketts family get so much shit for that in Chicago.
Yeah.
Which it's like, really? That's all you're spending to break even? Give me the books.
Yeah.
You're lying.
Let me see what's happening there.
Nah, I don't believe it. Because you own this thing called Wrigley Field. It's only like a historic landmark, and that just is a cash cow in of itself. So you are lying to your fans. Now with the Reds, we don't fucking have that. So yeah, I they tried to do it in 19 and they tried to do it in 20. Got burned by Moose. Mm-hmm. Shogo was not great. But those, Nick Castellanos worked out. Like those signings, Wade Miley had one really good year, then didn't the year before. Like I've said before, he's like Star Trek movies. Every other one is good. Mm-hmm. But with Pete, it only costs money.
It's very true.
And you just re-upped with FanDuel, and you broke our hearts and hopes and dreams where you were going to be on MLB.TV with no blackouts, and instead you went back to the monster to get cash. I don't know how much it is, but I would assume that it's more cash this year than what it's costing them for Rogers and Hayes.
It seems like they already had that money ticketed anyway with all the negotiations they've had with different players this offseason, because it was either going to be Lou Bob or Estevez.
Yeah.
And then they couldn't land it with Lou Bob, and then they pivoted to Hayes and Rogers. So
right.
Man, I'd love to see like their books and figure out like what math they're looking at to figure out like, okay, we need to get X, Y, and Z to happen versus the amount of money that we're willing to pay. Because getting Pete Alonso, I think offensively that checks a lot of boxes. But again, that is like you're taking all of probably what they're looking to spend and putting it on one dude. And yeah, with the recent memory, getting burned by like Moustakas and some other characters, I understand the apprehension.
Sure, I do too.
Potentially Candelario too. They might just be a little gun shy right now. And
I don't blame them, but also all three of us said the same thing individually, either on here or privately. Like, what was this Candyman signing?
I talked myself into it at first.
We all did.
And then what happened, what I thought happened, happened.
Yeah, it was like, what do they know that we don't? because it just wasn't adding up for us. I mean, granted, he's a great player, but it's just he had a really rough season last year. But that was a very peculiar decision.
Well,
And what is he adding to the team? I mean, we had Candelarios.
Yeah.
It was my main gripe with the Lux trade. Lux is a great player, but we have Gavin Luxes. He doesn't actually move the needle that much, except for the fact that he's a lefty and he hit like crazy at the end of the last season. But his profile is so similar to what we already have, and he doesn't play a position that we have a need for.
Yeah, that was one we haven't talked about, was Gavin Lux. I forgot him on the sheet.
Yeah.
That shows you how much I thought of that move in general, too.
It's not anything to say about Lux. He's a great player, but it's just, it doesn't move the needle because he's the same type of guy we already got.
Yep. And dude, you add Pete Alonso, you are in the ranks of the Dodgers and the Mets and the Braves.
You immediately be thrown in the conversation of winning the division and seeing how far along you can get in the playoffs, just because the amount of struggles that existed in the offensive categories that I think Alonso would help, in addition to all the other players coming back for the Reds. It's just that is a definite game changer addition. So still out there, dark horse, but man, it'd be exciting. Not my money, but it'd be thrilling to watch that and to see how they are able to make that happen. I hope it can happen.
I hope so too, because we have all talked about it together. Like, come on, would this be so fun?
And again, psychologically, going to a new organization, I think Pete Alonso, being an older dude, getting to play with the likes of Ellie De La Cruz, and like this newer generation, I think that'd be a big incentive to be like, dude, I got to do better than what I did last year at the Mets. You know,
the psyche for the fans too. I mean, we haven't seen the Reds make a big splash like this in a while, and the NL Central is so winnable. I mean, the Cubs got better, but the Brewers took a step back. The Cardinals and Pirates didn't do anything.
Yeah.
It would put asses in the seats. Alonso is a great, easy guy to root for. He's got such a great personality that it would help sell tickets.
He's such a weirdo.
Yeah, and easy to like. He's just a goofy fucking bastard. So it would be. I think they would make more money this season just by signing him.
One of the small things to tag on top of that doesn't get talked about enough: the economics of signing a character that will bring butts in the seats. So that is something else to like really consider. Like, what is the auxiliary, like the stuff that'll happen on the side that could bring in additional funds for your clubhouse.
It's going to help the whole Cincinnati economy genuinely. Like it's more people in bars. It's more people watching Reds games. It's more shirts selling.
People love dingers.
Yeah,
That's
they do.
what they want to see. Dingers and people smashing cups together.
Yeah. That is exactly what I was thinking when you said not my money.
Yeah.
But it is your money when you go.
Yeah.
When you buy anything. And that is going to incentivize. So there's an old saying, you got to spend money to make money. This is that move. You do it. Give him the $395. Let it ride, because guess what? The owner of the Reds isn't getting any younger. Wouldn't you like to see him follow through on that promise when he first bought the team?
Yeah, I'd like that.
It'd be pretty cool. This would be that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would invigorate the whole city.
Yeah.
Because they haven't done that. It's been, like you were saying, that in 19 and 20, they were making moves.
Yep.
And how juiced was this fan base? Everyone was thrilled.
Yeah,
because they're following through on a promise.
Yeah, on top of already the other stuff that we're seeing with the fan base of like all these younger kids is getting really stoked to see Ellie De La Cruz going to be on the MLB cover for the whatever game, and then like
First Red ever.
Yeah, there's so much hype just around like a handful of players, and also too like baseball fans, the organization itself, people can see the Reds as a nice ball club, but getting the additional money revenue coming from people just really excited for all these different individuals. Pete Alonso would be another guy like that.
Don't waste Ellie.
For real.
Don't do what you did with Joey Votto.
Oh my. That's a whole other can of worms. Because I'm trying to think, like, that is, the biggest splashes I remember as a Red was Ken Griffey Jr. coming home and then his knees exploding. That was tight. And then The Reds extending Joey Votto, doing nothing, trying towards the end of his career, pandemic, the youth has started to work out in 2023 and 2024. That is the Reds in a nutshell, basically my entire life that I can remember.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the playoff run in like tens, but
There were some good additions to the team in the 2010s. They knew that their window was open. I mean, they got Roland, Ryan Ludwig. That didn't work out.
No,
But
it sure
was
didn't.
it was. I like the spirit of the signing. It just didn't quite work out.
The idea of
like
it.
Arthur Rhodes putting in the bullpen.
Yeah,
That bullpen,
yeah.
he was a great addition to that pen.
that pen was nasty.
Yes, underrated, under-remembered part of that team.
Chapman, Broxton, Jesus.
Yeah,
Gnarly.
David Weathers.
David Weathers with your dad screaming in the right field foul pole. God damn it, David Weathers.
Yeah, Coco Cordero at that time too, or is that a little bit before?
I think it was
Yeah.
just before, right? Yeah.
Because he was like 08, 09
Yeah.
was Coco. God, I heard some stories about him, but not
for another pod.
for another pod. For another time.